welcome Sarah Spoon.
Something before the month of May. I love it. My name's Sarah. I use she, her pronouns. Hi, Sarah. Really far me now. Hi, Sarah. I'm a rapper. I know I don't look like a rapper, so it's okay, but don't worry, because when I perform, I also don't sound like a rapper. I'm also a former city councilor, so a former elected official, and I first ran for office in 2016. I was very naive. I think, like a lot of people, I thought we would end that night with our first woman president, right? The Nazis would go running back to their caves. It would be like that year everyone said, "What's up?" We all know it happened, but no one will admit to being a part of it. So I was elected to Canby City Council the same night Donald Trump was elected president, a very confusing evening for me. Do you guys all know where Canby is?
Yes.
It's like just outside of town, the rural-urban divide, the like trenches of the culture war that we hear about on the news. I was Canby's first openly queer city councilor. And I was a bit of a liberal lightning rod for being who I am, believing what I believe, and for having the audacity to advocate for a dog park. Much to everyone's surprise, I was re-elected in the year 2020, and 10 months after I was re-elected, a woman filed a recall petition against me. She had found one of my rap music videos online. She was not a fan. It was a song with a lot of salacious sexual innuendos deeply rooted in weather terminology. There's a line, for example, that goes, "Close all the bridges, 'cause tonight you're gonna get 10 inches. This is public record. You can find this. The actual words on the recall petition say, "The citizens of Canby seek to remove Councilmember Spoon for her repeated displays of vulgarity via social media." These are the same people that voted for a man that said he grabs women by the pussy, but okay. My first thought was, you're welcome, Canby. Someone has to make this town interesting. My second thought was just the pure irony of the situation, because the woman that filed the recall petition owns the vitamin store in town, but she clearly does not get enough vitamin D. The recall failed. But but in 2023 of last year, we ended up leaving Canby anyway. And just 3 days after we moved into our new house, I found a lump right here in my breast. Even after leaving public office, the right was determined to ruin my life. I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer and spread to my lymph nodes, so I had to do the whole thing. I did double mastectomy, radiation, chemotherapy. This is not a choice I made, this is happening to me. I'm really happy to say I'm in remission. From Canby. And from cancer, I'm in remission from both. Most people don't know this, but health insurance actually the government actually requires health insurance companies to cover breast reconstruction for breast cancer patients. And there's this incredible group of women in the breast cancer community, they call themselves flatties, and they elect to not reconstruct. I find that incredibly courageous. They are just out loud rejecting the societal expectation that women adhere to the male standard of beauty and femininity. Right, good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we applaud for it? That's not for me. I'm gonna fight the man in a different way. I just keep hitting my out-of-pocket maximum, so I'm gonna continue to get every medical procedure available and shove that camera right up my ass. In fact, let's put a camera in every hole and just inspect this entire suspect situation. Look, I was a flatty against my will for 44 years. I want Animal Blue Cross to pay for the tits of my dreams. Near as I can tell, that's the only way to win an American health insurance. I say I'm in remission, but that's not actually the phrase we use. We use the phrase assumed no evidence of disease. Assumed because they don't do any tests or scans to make sure it hasn't spread. They just assume once the tumor is removed that you are free of disease. That's banana pants, right? Like, imagine if this is how we treated everything in the world. Like, what if I want to get a couple of prime ribs, but there's no Best Buy date, so I walk up to the meat counter, and the woman's like, well, there's no evidence of disease, right? Or I get bit by a woodland creature, and the animal control picks the raccoon up by the tail and is like, oh, no evidence of disease? Or you bring someone home from a bar and suggest you use protection, and they're like, no evidence of disease. Sarah knows what I'm talking about. So Canby's actually my hometown. It's where I grew up. I went to a small rural elementary school named Paris, and in the 6th grade, we had an art unit on pottery. And my parents recently found a piece that I had made when I was 11 years old, and it was breathtaking. So, it was a face in an oval, like a cameo, right? And the hair was the color and texture of straw. There was a tiny fedora. Eyes look at you from different hemispheres. Everything was lumpy. And there was on either side of the face a black and white music note that vaguely looked X-rated. There was evidence of disease. And when my parents gave it to me as an adult, even I had no idea who it was, and I made it. So I posted a picture to Facebook to see if anyone else could identify the person in my sculpture. I got a lot of guesses. I got some Sebastian Bach, I got some Boy George, I got 89 guesses. And the likeness is so accurate that not a single one of them were correct. But lucky for me, I'd written the name of my muse on the back. It was my very first concert, 80s pop icon Debbie Gibson. I am still a huge fan. So last year when she came on tour, she played at Elon just north of here, and my husband wanted to take me. I was still very sick from chemotherapy. I was bald, no eyelashes, no eyebrows. I was kind of ashen looking, and I was using a wheelchair because of how weak I was. But everyone wanted me to have a good time. So my brother, a 47-year-old man, tweeted, "Hey, at Debbie Gibson. My sister is a huge fan, and she is going to your show tonight. She is currently in breast cancer treatment, and I know it would blow her mind if you gave her a shout out from on stage. If you up for it, hit me up in DM. No worries though, heart emoji." And I know this is a shock, but Debbie Gibson did not slide into my brother's DMs. We did get to meet her after the concert though, and I thought it would be really fun to show her a picture of the pottery I made as a child. So my husband rolled me up to her, and I used every bit of strength I had to push myself out of the wheelchair. And I take my phone. I say, "Look, Debbie, I made this, it's you." And the look on her face went from concern for my health to concern for her safety. And that's when my husband and yelled out, when she was 11. She made it when she was 11, because without that critical piece of information, it looks like I crafted her a piece of pottery with 2 dildos and a clown hat just last week. Speaking of dildos and clown hats, I went to New Orleans. And I'm a person that strongly believes that when I visit other parts of the world or other parts of the country, as a white person, I have a moral responsibility to be witness to the atrocities that white people have committed in that space. So when we were in New Orleans, I thought we should go to a plantation where they would clearly explain the tragedies associated with slavery. And our tour guide was a white man in a Confederate soldier's uniform, which I found to be a very old-fashioned choice, given the location. And he started the tour. Well, hello there, my name is Thibodeau. We're going to do a tour of plantation. We're going to talk about the Roman family that live here. Then we're going to talk about emancipation, proclamation. Any questions? And I was like, no, I believe I bought a ticket for a tour. This sounds great. So far, I guess, kind of. And so we enter the house, and there's this grand stairway in the entryway. And he explains, Roman family that live here in this house, they're a real wealthy family. They got a lot of money. They got a couple of daughters. One girl named Louise. She's very pretty. A lot of suitors come around looking for Louise. Well, one day, Louise walking down the stairs, she had a stumble, hoop skirt break, stab her in the leg, she get gangrene, they have to amputate, no one want to marry her anymore, she joined the convent and become a nun, and he was strong. And I was like, kind of, no. That feels like a complete story with a beginning, middle, and end. No questions. So the tour rounds up on the back balcony. And Thibodeau closes with explaining about the end of slavery. He says, well, now this here sugar plantation, real hot summers, real hard work for the slaves. Then in 1863, Abraham Lincoln do Emancipation Proclamation. Well, you know, day before, slave owners real wealthy. You know, a lot of people worth a lot of money, got a lot of assets. Then Emancipation Proclamation happened. Slave owners don't have no money anymore. Emancipation Proclamation real hard for the slave owners. Any questions? And this time I did have questions. I was like, Thibodeau? Are we supposed to feel bad for the slave owners? I like to laugh about the South. A lot of it's justified, but much of Oregon is not that different. So I like to go on road trips, and I don't know if you've ever been to a bar past the suburbs, Eastern Oregon, Central Oregon, but a lot of them are very similar. Usually the flooring is remnants of a bowling alley that was closed in the 90s. There's national flags on the wall in case you forget where you are. Did I say national? I meant nationalist. There are nationalist flags on the wall in case you forgot where you are. Everyone in the bar is probably 35, but they look like they're 90. Just a flock of Emperor Palpatine's weathered by age. The whole place just smells like urine and white grievance. There's evidence of disease. And recently I happened to one on a road trip, and I sat down at a bar, and a white man in a Confederate soldier's uniform walked up and said, well, hello, my name is Thibodeau. Today's special chicken gizzards and moonshine. Any questions?